Welcome to Pipster. You ever look at a stock chart and it just feels like you're staring at a foreign language? You know, all those squiggly lines, the flashing numbers, it can be a lot. But what if I told you there's actually a story hidden in there? A story that tells you exactly who's winning the battle between buyers and sellers. Well, today, we're going to learn how to read that story. And trust me, it's way simpler than you think. Let's dive in. All right, here's the game plan. First, we'll get the basics down, the language of the market. Then we'll talk about getting the big picture by zooming in and out. After that, we tackle the big one. Is it just a pullback or a real trend change? And finally, we'll wrap up with some simple strategies you can actually use. Okay, so where do we even begin? Well, the very first step is actually a mental shift. We've got to stop seeing the chart as just a random jumble of lines. Instead, think of it as a story, a narrative about that constant tug of war between the buyers and the sellers. Let's get into it. So, is it all just noise, or is there really a story in there? This is the question, right? And the answer is a huge yes. Seriously, start thinking of that chart as a battlefield. Every single candle is a little fight. Every pullback is a strategic retreat. And every breakout, that's a major offensive. And once you know how to read the signs, you can see exactly who's winning the war. And this is where it gets really interesting. We're going to strip away all those complex, fancy indicators. We're focusing on the one thing that actually matters. The price. This is what we call price action. It's about reading a naked chart. Honestly, it's the purest, most direct way to understand the market. It's like having a direct line to the heart of what's happening. And this idea, it's a total game changer for so many traders. The goal isn't to be a psychic and predict what's going to happen. Instead, you become more like a detective, just looking for clues in what's happening right now. It's a small shift in how you think, but man, it makes all the difference. Okay, so we've got the right mindset. Now it's time to learn the actual language. And yeah, just like any language, price has a kind of grammar, a set of rules for how it all works. And once you get these rules down, you'll be able to look at any chart and just get it. So here it is, the classic uptrend. And it's pretty simple when you break it down. Why does it look like this? Well, it's because the buyers are firmly in control. They push the price up to a new high, then they pause, take a little breather, that's the pullback, and then they push it up all over again to an even higher high. That pattern is the sign of a really healthy, strong trend. So it really all comes down to the highs and the lows. In an uptrend, you're looking for a series of higher highs and higher lows. That tells you buyers are in charge. And in a downtrend, you guessed it, it's the exact opposite. A series of lower highs and lower lows. That's your signal that the sellers are running the show. It's that simple. All right, these 4 acronyms, they are going to be your new best friends. Seriously. Higher high, higher low, lower high, and lower low. These are the absolute building blocks of every single trend. Once you can spot these on a chart, your confidence is going to go through the roof. So let's lock them in. HH, HL, LH, and LL. Okay, so we've got the basic grammar down. Now it's time to talk about context, because here's the thing. It's so easy to not see the forest for the trees. You have to zoom out and get that big picture view before you can make any really smart moves. I mean, we've all done this, right? You see this perfect looking uptrend on, say, a 5-minute chart. You jump in feeling great, and then, bam, the price just tanks. So what happened? Well, you got caught focusing on the tiny picture, and you completely missed the massive trend on the higher chart. This is why context is absolutely everything. So how do you pick the right timeframes to look at? It really just depends on your trading style. You can see here, if you're a swing trader, you might look at the weekly for the big trend and the daily to find an entry. If you're a day trader, maybe it's the 1 hour and the 5-minute. The whole point is to find a combo that gives you that bird's eye view and the on-the-ground details. Here's the best way to think about it. It's called the top-down approach. First, you look at that higher time frame. That's like checking the direction of a big, powerful river. That's your main trend. Then you zoom into the lower time frame to find your entry point. That's like finding a nice, calm spot to jump in and just let the current carry you along. Always trade with the current, not against it. All right, and this brings us to the million-dollar question every trader faces. The market starts moving against you. Is this just a little dip, a great chance to buy in before the next move up? Or is this the beginning of the end? A sign the whole trend is about to reverse. This is the moment of truth. And getting it right is, well, it's everything. So let's be super clear on the terms. A retracement or a pullback is just a temporary move against the main trend. Think of it like a pit stop. The main trend is still very much intact. A reversal, on the other hand, that's a fundamental change in direction. That's a full-on U-turn. The old trend is over. Okay, so how can you tell the difference in real time? You have to look for clues. A retracement usually happens on lower volume with smaller indecisive candles. The key trend structure, those higher lows in an uptrend, they hold up. But a reversal, that's a different beast. You'll often see a huge spike in volume, strong authoritative candles, and most importantly, the price will break through those previous key swing points. That's a massive red flag. All right, this is the fun part. We've got the language down, we know how to get the big picture, and we have some clues to tell a pullback from a reversal. So now it's time to put it all together into some simple strategies. Let's see how this works in practice. Most trend-following strategies really boil down to two key moments. The first is a breakout, which is your confirmation that the trend is likely to continue. Think of it as riding the wave. The second is spotting a reversal pattern, which is a signal that the trend might be ending. That's like catching the turn. Both are powerful, you just need to know what to look for. And here's a perfect example of a reversal pattern. This is the famous head and shoulders. You can see how the buyers tried to push the price up, but they're losing steam. You get a peak, the left shoulder, a higher peak, the head, and then a lower peak, the right shoulder. That line connecting the lows is called the neckline, and when the price breaks below that neckline, it's like a trapdoor just opened. It's a strong signal that the uptrend was probably over. So let's talk about a simple breakout strategy that ties everything together. Step 1, you use that higher time frame to find a key resistance level, a ceiling the price is struggling to break. Step 2, you wait for the price to finally decisively break above it. Step 3, and this is crucial, you look for increasing volume to confirm that the breakout has real strength behind it. Then, and only then, you can zoom in to a lower time frame to pinpoint your entry. See? It combines everything. Okay, so let's recap the big ideas here. First, price action is the market's story, told through highs and lows. Second, remember the basic structure. An uptrend is a series of higher highs and higher lows. Third, always use that top-down approach, starting with a higher time frame to know which way the river is flowing. And finally, volume is your friend. It can help you confirm if a big move is the real deal. So here is my challenge to you. The next time you pull up a chart, don't just see a bunch of lines. Try to see the story. See the battle playing out, because now that you know the building blocks, what story will you see?